Hi everyone, welcome to Children's Chapel. Thank you so much for tuning in last week and for enjoying the arts and crafts as well as the story. I was so pleased to see you share the beautiful lanterns that you made. They're gorgeous. And for sharing them with your friends on the WhatsApp group. It's such a lovely thing. They were beautiful, all different designs, all different colours. Some being made in Australia as well, amazing. Alex and Rebecca, your beautiful coloured lanterns, your blue and yellow. Isla using the scissors by herself and decorating it with stars. And Emily, Harry and Bruce as a family in Australia making them. Beautiful, all lined up there on a string. Really, really special. And Julia's family too. Really nice, too many to mention. Gorgeous. Also, Isaac did a lovely rainbow to share, and that'll get printed out and put on the notice board to make people smile as they come past, which is such a lovely thing. It had a beautiful purple smiley face. It just made me smile straight away as soon as I saw it. Lovely. So now we're in May. April has passed, and the subject for May is threshold, which is a really fancy smanchy way of saying a door. And this could be a door in your mind, in your imagination, or it could be a door that your front door, or a door to a house somewhere. And the word comes from the idea that when you're coming into somewhere, you like to wipe your boots or your shoes clean. So if they've got mud, or if you live somewhere really cold, some ice, you'd shake off your boots, you'd tramp them. And the word thresh comes historically from that idea. So that's where the word threshold comes from. But it basically is a fancy smanchy way of saying door. And to celebrate that, we're going to be doing some different stories and some different crafts in May, all about doors and what they represent to us. And I've made a little finger puppet show with two characters, Bear and Butterfly, for some of our younger audiences, or the young at heart. And I've got a story here called The Green Man, which I'd like to share with you. There will also be an arts and crafts opportunity to make a maypole colour wheel. So I'll explain a bit more about that later. But for now, I'd like to read to you The Green Man, which is an adaptation of a very universal story. And the adaptation comes from Sophia Lyon-Farr. The Green Man. Once upon a time, there lived a rich and vain young squire. Servants prepared his favourite foods each day. His every wish was granted. And one of the young man's favourite things to do was to ride through the woods that were part of his kingdom, hunting small animals for sport. He thought that the woods belonged to him, and that all the creatures that lived there belonged to him as well, and he could do as he pleased with them. And the people in the village had a different idea about the woods. The woods provided a home to all the creatures that lived there, the chipmunks, the birds, the squirrels, rabbits, deer and wild pigs. They told their children a story about a green man who lived in the woods and cared for all the small creatures. They said even he watched out for the children in the woods. And the villagers faithfully left out food on winter nights for the green man to eat. Now, one autumn day, the squire decided to go on a hunt. He called to all his servants to saddle up the horses and get on their riding clothes. They were going into the woods. They rode into the woods on their horses, trampling nests and dens as they went, sending out the dogs ahead to chase small animals out of their homes so they could be easily hunted. And after a time, the squire became separated from the rest of the hunting party. He was looking for his group when he came to a pond. A beautiful, clear, cool pond. How clever of me to have a pond in my woods to refresh myself, he said. The young man began to remove all his fine clothing, his shoes, his hat, his jacket, his shirt, his pants and his socks, and he laid his clothes neatly folded by the edge of the pond and jumped into the cool water. He swam back and forth, enjoying it immensely. It must have felt very nice after all that riding around. But while he was swimming and splashing away, a hand reached out from behind a tree, took his clothing and led his horse away. When the squire got out of the water, he discovered that he had nothing to wear, apart from a little piece of rope. So he took the rope and he put bits of leaves and foliage and things he could find from the forest and the wood on that bit of rope to make a cover-up. When his hunting party came looking for him, and they did come close to him, he was too embarrassed to be seen and dressed in nothing but leaves. So he hid. Now at night the squire went looking for some shelter, and he stumbled into a cave. He didn't sleep much that night. It was dark and he was frightened, and he kept hearing animal noises all night. Gosh, that must have been quite a different experience from living in his fancy house and having all the servants around him doing as he wished. Must have been a very different experience for him. And in the morning, when the daylight came, he saw that he was not alone in the cave. There was a goat there, and a chicken, and a gourd for holding some water. Someone had been living in the cave. He found some grass for the goat and feed for the chicken. He discovered some grain that he could eat as well. Isn't that nice? So he's helping the animals that he used to go hunting for. He used to go hunting and trying to kill the small animals, and now it's different, isn't it? What do you think? He's helping feed them, even before the story mentions him feeding himself. Now, over time, the squire settled into life into the cave, and he fashioned a whole garment out of the leaves. He ate eggs from the hen and drank milk from the goat. He covered his hand with mud to prevent stings and reached into a beehive for honey to eat. He became acquainted with all the small woodland creatures, and he cared for them, helping them over swollen streams when heavy rains fell, making sure they had food and water, and sheltering them in the cave on the chilly nights. Wow, hasn't he done well to go from nothing to make a shelter for himself? One day, he came upon two small children who were trapped by a wild pig threatening to bite them. When he had to chase the pig off, they looked at him. There he was, covered head to toe with leaves and mud, and a wild-looking beard and hair. "Are you the Green Man?" they asked. Oh, they couldn't believe it. Is it the Green Man? Said the Green Man, thinking, "Well, I guess I am the Green Man," who looked no longer anything like the squire he was before. So different. And when winter came, the Green Man was happy to go into the village at night and to take the food that the villagers left out for him, sharing it with all his animal friends. A year passed peacefully until one warm day when a hunting party came into the woods. The Green Man hid behind a tree to watch. So this time he's already in the forest, and another man like him has come in with his riding party just like he did a whole year ago. And a rich young man, a squire perhaps, became separated from his hunting group. And he found the pond. Can you guess what's going to happen? What do you think? What do you think the next squire did when he found the pond? That's right. He took off his clothes, folded them, and left them under a tree. What do you think happened? This time, the Green Man reached out his hand, took the clothes and the horse, leaving behind his garment of leaves and a coil of rope. He used a sharp stick to trim his beard that he'd grown over the year, and his hair as well, and he rode into town on the horse back to his parents' castle. I love that story. Do you like that story? I can just imagine it. Isn't it funny? He must have gone back feeling quite a different person after spending a whole year in the woods. I wonder what the next squire would do. Do you think he'd do the same thing? Do you think he'd use the leaves that he found? Because he wouldn't have anything, would he? And maybe he'd go to the cave too. I like that. I like that idea. And I love the fact that he began to look after nature, learn from nature. I think there's a lot to be learnt there for all of us. And also, because it's the beginning of May and spring is here, I like to think that it's a whole year that he's there, because when spring comes again, I really feel the start of a new beginning, the birth again of nature coming back, all the bulbs growing up and the flowers and nature. Well, you can see behind me, the tree outside my window is looking a lot different from just a few weeks ago. All the leaves have come out. It's beautiful. So I think as a chapel, we're also going to celebrate the Wheel of the Year and Beltan, which is the spring festival of the Wheel of the Year. So think about the green man when you think about that as well. I hope you enjoyed the story. Hi Butterfly, how are you? What are you doing? I'm flying around. Whee! Woo! I feel some wind coming up. Better find a place to land. The wind is getting strong. I'm having some trouble getting away from the wind. Ooh. Can you help me, Bear? Of course I can. Quick, let's shelter in the chapel. We will shut the door and keep out the wind. Help! It's getting too strong. It's okay, I will help. Whew, made it. That is a strong door. I don't feel the wind anymore. It is a door of shelter for keeping out the wind. Oh, I'm glad you have a door of shelter. Thank you, Bear. To celebrate the Spring Festival, and on the 1st of May, which is traditionally the day when farmers wouldn't have to work, they'd have a whole day of rest. People used to they still do, to make a maypole and tie ribbons to the top of it, lots of colourful ribbons, and then sing and dance around it to celebrate the Spring Festival and to hopefully bring positive blessings for the summer months ahead. What I thought would be nice is to get a piece of paper, some coloured pens, or if you have some paints at home, it can be any kind of paint, acrylic, or if you're lucky enough to have some watercolour, you could use those, something like that. And draw a circle in the middle of a page, and then just choose any colours at all, the kind of colours that you would use if you had ribbons to tie at the top of your maypole, and draw them out from the centre of the circle as if you're dancing around them. And then if you take your colour chart either to the window and have a look out, or if you go for your exercise and your walk each day, you could take it with you and hold it up to the different colours around you in nature. So it could be the flowers you come across, or even the different kinds of leaves have different colours, different shades of green, and see what you can find, and see if you can match up your colour wheel, your May maypole colour wheel to the things you find in nature outside. So I've got my bit of paper just on a tray here, and I'm just going to draw a circle in the middle, as if I'm a bird flying over the maypole in the middle. It's a bit of a funny circle, but there we go, you get the idea. And then I've got some water and I've got some paints, and I was just going to choose a colour. Let's have a look. I always go for red first. I don't know what you're drawn to first. I've seen some red tulips, so I might draw that. So I'm going to go from the outside. Just pretend it's a ribbon. I've drawn it straight, but you could draw just like a wiggly line. I might make it a bit more ribbon-like next time. Let me choose another colour. I've definitely got to have some green in it, especially after our green man story. So I'm going to draw a wiggly line. There we go. And what other colours do we see? I've seen lots of yellows. Lots of yellows outside. At the very centre of daisies. Beautiful. See, I think someone's used up all my yellow. Maybe it was me. Now let's have a look. Hopefully it'll come out. Yes, I think that's come out nice. Another wiggly line. So you can go all the way around with that. So I might do a few more colours. Let's see. I do like a blue. It's a bit like doing the rainbows again. And you could take some time to do it. You could do some pinks if you want to mix some colours up. In fact, some of you were talking about just making the colours from the primary colours, weren't you? So using red and yellow and, do you remember the other one, blue? And making different colours. So I think, was it Eliza or Lilybet was saying you can make purple? And you need, what colours do you need to make purple? Red and blue. And what happens if I mix red and yellow together? What do you get? I bet Isla knows this maybe. I bet Alex and Rebecca can have a think. And Jackson, I don't know if you're out there. I haven't heard from you, but I hope you're doing okay. I think he knows the answer to this. It's orange. Let me do a nice orange. So if you mix red and yellow together, get a nice orange. Gosh, I'd be lucky if I saw all these colours on my walk. I'm going to do a brown. Of course. Let's see. Oh yes, it's quite come out a bit of an orangey brown. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. There, what do we think? And you can fill in as much of the page as you want. You could do big thick lines, and you can use, Isabel's kindly got some big thick pens here. You could draw a big thick line, or you could do mixture of things. Like if I draw some lines with some big thick markers, that's just as lovely. You don't need paint really. There we go. Oh yes, I like a bit of pink by my green. There you go, I put a straight line next to the green wiggly line there of the pink. There you are. So you could imagine that you were all holding on to the colours at the bottom. And this is what it looked like from a bird from above, and you could dance round the maypole. And I'm sure when we get back to chapel, I don't want to make any promises here, but I would hope that we could get some ribbon and to choose the colour, and we can find a stick or a young tree, and we can tie the ribbons up and perhaps do a dance around the maypole. It's making me feel better just thinking about it now. So that would be a really, really fun thing to do. It's actually raining really hard outside. I was going to go and pick some daisies and show you how to make a daisy chain. In fact, some of you probably already know. I know that it might appeal to Rebecca, who likes making jewellery perhaps. So next week I will pick some daisies and I will show you how to make a daisy chain. And if you get a chance and you go somewhere where there's lots of wildflowers, we mustn't pick flowers from other people's gardens, but if you happen to go somewhere like the Heath or somewhere, I don't know if you live in Hampstead or you have a green space where there's things growing, if there's lots of the flowers, and you only take a few, you could pick a few and put them in a little basket and make a little flower bouquet to bring back home. And that would be a really, really nice way to celebrate the beginning of spring and Beltane. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Please, please, please do keep sending your things into WhatsApp. You can also email me if you have requests. I have access to some different colouring pages that you can download and print if there's things that you would like me to forward you that I would usually bring to chapel. So they're special Unitarian colouring in pages from the Soul Matters. And in fact, I have one of the Green Man. So if you really like the story of the Green Man and you want to have a colouring in sheet, please do email me or WhatsApp me with your email address if I don't have it already, and I will forward you those and you can print those out or use them. If you don't have a printer, you can have it on your screen and use it as a reference point. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go and take my sheet outside when it's stopped raining, or even from the window, and see if I can colour match some of these lovely colours to the things that I can see outside. I have a feeling there's going to be quite a lot of oranges, browns, and maybe even some yellows outside.